live with Brian Sanders, creator of Food Lies, Sapiens Center, and some new projects that we're going to also discuss as well. Really excited to have this conversation and share Brian's journey. But even more than that is like inspiring and asking the question of what can you do? You know, when you're listening to this, what is it that you would be inspired to do? What is it that you're excited about? And then, you know, maybe we can help you with it. I'd love to hear your ideas. That's probably the biggest thing that I want to get out of this conversation. It started on the basis of Max Hernandez, who I can see there as well. Is an enthusiastic young man who's taking action and trying things and testing ideas. And I think that's all we need for the solution. You know, I think that's all we need is just keep testing ideas, keep working towards what makes sense, and moving away from what doesn't. But the Food Lies story came about. What were you doing when you before Food Lies, Brian?
Trying to figure out what to do with my life. Now, I was a mechanical engineer out of college, and I, had some jobs. It was fun. It was great. Then I got into tech and, designing apps and websites, and was in Santa Monica, and, I had a tech job, making decent money, saving money. And then I kind of just went off on my own. I just saw one too many vegan films and decided I was not going to take it anymore. And I'm just going to make my own film. And yeah, it was a huge leap. I did film stuff in high school. I'm doing film stuff since I was like 12. Then I took classes in high school, and, I was just doing, but I never did it professionally. So it was kind of this big leap, and everything kind of just sprung up from there. So I don't know, I can go into more detail.
Did people tell you you're crazy, or was it, did you have some good support around you?
No, all my friends had normal jobs. I went to UCLA, pretty decent school. People were doctors, lawyers, real estate, like everyone was making good money. And I was just this bozo out there, like trying to make a documentary film. And it's like they kind of made jokes, but and I wasn't making money for the first 2 years. Right. And then, it takes a while for things to click.
Yeah. Did you think it was going to be a career? At what stage did it kind of become clear if I'm going to be able to keep going down this path versus I'm going to have to go back and find another job?
Well, I don't know. For me, it was kind of a foregone conclusion that it was going to work out. For some reason, I have that mindset. I don't know if my parents kind of instilled that in me, that I could do things. And I just like gained all these different skills along the way, and, doing different careers and just figuring things out and learning for myself. So I just knew I was going to make it work somehow.
Love it. What was it like when it came out? What was the reaction? How much feedback did you get?
Well, the film didn't come out. I have different projects. So Food Lies itself didn't come out yet. This is like a major thing. We have the intro out on YouTube. We're shopping it around to the big platforms this month. Okay. We've kind of been shopping around to some celebrities who are really interested. Like, we're kind of playing the game where you get, you need some celebrity person to narrate it or be behind it. I put out the Game Changers Debunked film on YouTube a couple years ago, which we just did as a side project. I don't know if that's the one you saw, but we debunked the Game Changers film and put it on YouTube. But Food Lies is like a full on like motion picture, basically.
All right, so you're going next level. Yeah, that's what I was thinking about. That the Game Changers was such a big, like, everybody talking about it thing, and then there was this massive wave of like it's bullshit, and your work was one of the key things that was sort of shifting that. Did you get like personal challenges from the vegan community or from that kind of lobby at all?
Well, a lot. Every week I do, because I just do social media, and I do Twitter and Instagram and Facebook and YouTube. And at this point, it's just funny. I don't really engage with them much. Actually, one guy had me on his podcast. Actually, it was like a red pill vegan, his name on YouTube. And he actually just did a nice interview with me and was very agreeable. But yeah.
That's cool. Yeah, it was very combative there for a while, and now sort of different levels of that propaganda. And it seems as though, I don't know, I don't see it as much anymore, like that vicious war between the carnivore vegan thing. Is it still as vicious, would you say?
Oh, it kind of is. I actually went on stage. My first speaking engagement somehow was on stage with 500 industry executives like Kraft Foods and Coca-Cola and like Kraft Heinz. It was like crazy. Stuck me on stage and I did a carnivore versus vegan debate. And yeah, it is. People, it's a war. It kind of is a war. And now with all these new agendas coming out, and I mean, I post about a lot of this stuff. It's like, it's always this war of basically people trying to make money and have fake food products, and that they have a lot of interest in continuing this kind of vegan narrative against people who just want to be left alone and eat meat and like ranch and just live like a human. But at my level so far, I think once a film comes out, well, film series comes out, I think it's could get a little dicey where, you know, I'm really like on a world stage. Like right now it's kind of underground, I think.
How do you feel about that? Is that why you're in Austin?
Uh well, I have good people around me, a lot of freedom fighters around me, and I have no idea what to expect. I've seen some crazy stuff happen where people try to cancel people, you know, they try to get canceled, or they'll do campaigns against you, or they'll try to like make up stories. I have no idea what's going to happen.
Yeah. Is that you just need to do it anyway because you know it's right, or like what that keeps you
Well,
on that
yeah,
path when you have that uncertainty of what the
I don't
pushback
know,
might
but
be?
well, I'm not doing that extreme. So,
No. I mean, it's not extreme at all in retrospect. Like 50 years ago, to make something that campaigns around real food, and you know, like my grandparents on this topic would have thought that's just
works.
normal. You know, like this is logical. There's no controversy here. But obviously, times have been changing, and they've been consciously changed by social engineers and industry. But
Yeah. Well, my main message, yeah, that I mean, there's other carnivore people that are like hardcore and they're trying to say we should only eat meat, or they're, you know, doing some different things. Yeah, we're not doing that. We're kind of just saying, let's go back to when we had it right. Like humans, I mean, it depends on how far back you want to go,
yeah,
but yes.
yeah. You don't have to go that far before it was okay. Like the 1940s, some of the footage, even in the 60s and 70s, when they wanted men to be healthy to be ready to go to war, like there were a lot of fit physiques. Like it's not necessary to go no carbs or no fruit, or you know, I've played around with all the extremes.
Mhm.
And I've had strict carnivore diet. I think there's merits to strict carnivore. I respect people who go really hard with that, but I don't think it's the only way for mankind to regain its athletic excellence and abilities. Like there's definitely, it's possible to consume some rice or potatoes or such. Like even the modern foods, the modern carbs, I think you can still have pretty good health. Maybe it takes a touch off the back end. It's difficult to argue with
Mhm.
around that sort of stuff of whether some carb cycling is really going to have a big impact. Like what phases have you gone through with that, and what conclusions have you come to?
Yeah, I've kind of tried all the things. Yeah, I don't think there's any problem with having whole food carbs and having, yeah, like kind of like cycling or doing them thoughtfully or doing them around workouts. And yeah, I think the more I try things and I kind of go above all the camps, you know, you kind of just elevate yourself from boxing yourself into one kind of thinking. And it's worked, you know. It's like I'm glad the film took this long because I've kind of just gone away from my old thoughts and thinking there was one way to go, and now and so many things can work. It's like it makes me realize how bad certain foods are, because you can include so many good foods and still perform amazing. And yeah, I don't even think there's any downsides in the long run. You
Yeah.
know, like Saladino's is great. You know, I've known him since before he was popular, and he's, you know, eating all, well, he's also in Costa Rica surfing all day. You can probably eat a fair amount of fruit and honey and all that. But
Yeah.
I mean, I do too, but I'm thoughtful about it. It's like, yeah, it's like I just played 3.5 hours of beach volleyball right before I got on here.
Yeah.
And yeah, I mean, I can eat whatever I want out of my like whole foods that I choose. You know, it's not like I've ever had to restrict or count calories.
Yeah. Some say that, you know, when you publish a book, I guess it's the same with a documentary. The main purpose is for people to tell you all the stuff that you missed, so that your next one is better, you know. But you've
Mhm.
had the opportunity as well to go through the cycle of different possibilities with that nutrition side of things. Is nutrition still your main? Would you say that's your main message and main mission, is to get good food into people's bodies?
Yeah, because I think that drives the most change. It moves the needle the most. It's like 80-20 rule. It's nutrition. Like, I mean, some sort of movement is kind of a baseline of being human. I think people don't really realize that. I went to Africa for the film, spent time with the Hadza and the Maasai and the Botwa, the pygmies in Uganda.
Oh,
And yeah, that was amazing. You know, a lot of stories there, but I just kind of realized more just, yeah, we're built to move. Yes, of course we're built to move. And of course we need to sleep. There's so many like pillars of being a human, but the food matters most. Like I interviewed this one doctor, Eric Westman, who works in a very poor area of West Virginia. People are on food stamps, people are in wheelchairs, and he reverses type 2 diabetes and obesity just with their diet. Diet alone, zero exercise, zero changes, anything else. And it works, right? So it's like your food will move the needle the most.
yeah, yeah. There's a baseline that if you achieve those amount of nutrients, even like the nutrient deficiencies is something that a lot of people miss when it comes to talking about food. Is like big push from the fitness industry a lot of times is like, if it fits your macros. You've done the physique stuff as well. Do you how do you go with, you know, making sure that you stay really healthy when you like, have you actually pursued the physique as part of building your business and building
Mm.
your brand, or is it where does it fit for you in terms of the?
Oh, that no, that, I mean, that's kind of just like on this, it's just nothing really. I just try, like for me, it just came naturally once I started eating nutrient dense foods. And I do push back against all those fitness influencers. And there's guys like Lane Norton, who I'm friends with now. Like he's in the film now. I don't know if everyone knows who Lane Norton is.
Yeah,
Is he sort of well known?
yeah, he's one of.
He's pretty well known, right? So yeah, he's all about if it fits your macros, all this type of stuff. He actually kind of gets it. I think he's playing a character a little bit. And I kind of called him out a few times. It's like, why are you the arbiter of truth? You know, he thinks that he's like the like guy that has to call everyone out. I'm like, who made you the like god of nutrition and everything? And he's kind of like, oh, I don't know. Well, anyway, he, yeah, I don't think he has it all figured out. I think that with like, if you eat nutrient dense foods, so okay, calorie counting, if you fit your macros, they don't take nutrient density into consideration, right? So yes, you can get shredded and have zero like zero focus on optimal nutrients, but that's not going to serve you long term. And I just don't think it's healthy. And I think these guys have problems, and that I've seen some of their blood work. So one guy I know posted about it, and his hormones tanked, and he had like off the charts low testosterone, like was bottomed out, like all his hormones were bottomed out when he leaned out for this physique thing. So I mean, I don't do any of that really. It's like I just eat nutrient dense foods. I don't count macros, count calories, and it can just happen. And I only spend an hour in the gym per week. I've never spent more than an hour in the gym ever since 2006, probably when I was in UCLA and I actually like went to the gym. So I'm not saying to people to not go to the gym at
Yeah,
all. I think it's amazing. It's just I have 4 companies now, and I make time for an hour a week, and it works.
makes sense. And yeah, there's a natural way that animals are, right? Like the physique of a lion or leopard, it doesn't vary that much from its genetic base. And you can see that with the tribes, that there is this genetic base. If you eat in a certain way, you don't need a lot of physical stimulus. If you want to be heavier, like I worked with rugby players, and they have to be bigger, you know, that's the nature of the sport. And so you manipulate things to get to that result with the training, with the diet. But to look as your genetics are intended in its natural environment, you only have to go close to reproducing those conditions. And it's like it shouldn't be so complicated for the multi-billion-dollar industry, all these products, all these.
Well, that's why I did the post. I don't know if people know I'm on Instagram at Food Lies, and I did a post about women I know who eat meat and their moms, like animal-based moms.
I saw that
And
one.
that's just the first four that I did. And these are just four of my friends. Well, loose term friends. I know Michaela Peterson, but she's not like a friend of mine per se, but whatever. These are people I actually know. I know what they eat. I know what they do. I have 10 more. And these women look like human, exactly what you're talking about. Like if you just this is what our human genetic can offer. It's very simple. They don't do a lot. Well, some of them do more than others. I'll post the next 10, but most of them, they just eat a good diet. They eat animal-based diets, and they run a little bit. They work out a bit. Like it's not like they're obsessed with it, and their body just looks like a human again. And especially with females, it's crazy. I can't find females that have figured this out. Like, I don't know if you guys have experienced this. I lived in LA. I was trying to use dating apps, and the only girls that were fit, like I'm a more lean guy. Like I don't like sort of overweight women at all. Like I can't handle it. It's just not attractive to me. So the only girls I would go on dates with were thin. And then I go on the date and they were like vegetarian, vegan. They were like having all these problems. They were kind of skinny fat. Does that make sense? Like none of the, and all the girls that ate meat, they had no idea how to eat meat in a healthy way. Yeah. And they were just overweight. So it's either the only way that women seem to know how to keep in shape is to do like a non-human diet and like go to these extremes like vegetarian.
Yeah, it's wild. What did you see with the tribes in Africa with the women and the way that they looked at food compared to what you see in the West?
Well, I mean, mainly it was the men. We spent a long time with the men, and they all looked amazing. They all were tall. Well, the Maasai especially, tall, strong, perfect teeth, big, wide jaws. If people get into the Weston Price stuff, you know about all like the facial development, palate development, right? And like how we used to have these wide jaws and enough room to fit all our teeth and straight teeth, and how that's sort of a window into your health. And these guys all had that. And then the Hadza, they're like sort of smaller, leaner guys, but all amazing shape, into their 70s, still hunting. The women mostly were fine, but a lot of them have to rely on cornmeal. They eat something called ugali, which is basically paste, like corn paste with water, because they don't have enough food, which is a whole nother story, is that they don't have a lot of land, right? Yeah. All the animals are gone. For one, the big animals are gone. There used to be giant megafauna roaming the earth, and we could get giant animals. And then more recently, well, of course, those all, went away. And more recently, they got all the big animals in Africa into game reserves, right? So all these people are pushed off their land, so they don't have much to eat anyway. So it's hard for them to hunt. They were hunting like small animals and baboons and stuff. So it's sort of a longer story there.
Yeah, it's even getting harder for them, who are the pinups of sort of how natural eating and lifestyle. How important do you think like this being out in the sun and barefoot and those other factors, like even the nose breathing and those other things that people speak about with forming the structures and part of the health of those tribes? I mean, they're not getting screen time and such as well.
Oh yeah, they have it all figured out there. So we went to this group. We were with the Maasai, and they took us to this little shack where this family lived in. Well, it wasn't even a shack; it was a mud hut. And it was the size of a bathroom, it was like, I don't know, like 20 square feet. And they had a whole family living there. They had nothing, like zero things. They had like two goats, and they just had like a couple sticks, and they just wandered around. And yet they were in perfect health, and they all slept in a pile on a bed of sticks. They have, it's like raised off the ground with sticks, and then they put a like cowhide over it. And there was like 4 or 5 kids that would just pile up in this one bed that was half the size of a normal bed. And they just slept through the night, and they would just knock out. And it's like, if they have, yeah, right, they're getting sun all day, they have no screens, they have the nasal breathing, they're doing all the things. I'm like, how are they staying asleep? And they're just like, they just go to sleep for 8 hours and they just wake up.
Yeah, like a miracle. How many people
Yeah.
can't sleep, can't shit, can't think? Like in the West, like all that technology, all that development, and then you look at the statistics. It's like clearly this isn't working as well as it could. I don't want to go back to that. Like I love technology. I love the fact that we can speak across the world. Sapiens Center seems like part of an answer to that. And other guys who are on, you're welcome to ask questions as well. I've got tons of questions and tons to talk about. But if you want to, you can use the hand up thing here, or you can use the chat box if you want to chime in as well. But yeah, like is Sapiens Center, like, is it partly about that kind of environment? Like, are there elements to the social element of the tribal thing, and recreating some of those conditions? Or tell us more about what the features of that are.
Yeah, Sapiens Center. So we're like a mile from downtown Austin. So we're like in the city, but it's a little oasis. It's amazing. We have mainly guys, a lot of girls too, though. Everyone looks like a human. It's amazing though. People come to the Sapiens Center and they're like, what is going on here? Why is everyone tanned and like jacked and like healthy and friendly and amazing? And just because everyone gets it, we're on the same page. We have, if people haven't heard of it, it's an indoor outdoor space. We have an outdoor gym. We have 2 cold plunges, a sauna, fire pit, grills. Inside, it's just kind of like an old auto body shop. We have co-working and we just have events and stuff. So it's just a space for us to get together. And yeah, it's incredible. I built it because everyone, I had this online stuff going, right? It's like you guys have all this online stuff going, and I love that you guys are doing the in-person things where you can actually get together in real life, because that's so important. Like we're talking about pillars of being human, and it's all this, it's the food, it's the movement, it's the sleep, it's the outdoors and the sun and all that. But then the last element is that community and social connection and sense of purpose and all that. And we just don't have that, right? It's like people, like before I built it, I'm in here in Austin, and we go out and we like meet up and we do something for an hour, and then everyone just goes back and lives in their box. Everyone just has their own little apartment, and like this, like we need more communal living. And yeah, we don't need to go live in a cave or like sleep on sticks, but we just need something in between.
Yeah. I mean, I've got 2 children, 9-year-old, a 6-year-old, wife, and we're living in this tiny house that you can see me in. People keep asking me if I'm in a sauna. It's not that much bigger than a sauna. We sleep in here, and we've then got the gym and restaurant. And at the moment, there's a man from South Africa here. There's a man from Serbia, and there's a man from Ireland. And we're working here on the property, as well as a local family who have 2 children as well, a wife and children. And then we've got, the concreters came today to renovate things, and there's another guy on the machine. So there's all these people here. The children spend all day, because it's summer holidays here in Europe. They spend all day on the trampoline, in the bushes, in the gym, and make their own adventures all day. They've been sleeping out on the trampoline the last couple of nights because there's a new big trampoline. They're just making adventures all day. And my wife and I was going like, you see how happy they are? Like, you imagine this life that they're living, like how free they feel. And they're just in constant game and imagination of like, what's fun to do next. And I actually feel like that's my life now as well. And I love that I have this digital element to it. But today, we spent the day, we went and swam in the river. We worked on the concrete. We moved the materials around to be able to get the job done here. We trained together. We had meals together. I watched the guys playing chess. Like, what if it was meant to be like this? Like, it's not actually that hard. It doesn't take that much money. Like, why are we doing it in the other way? And even my wife, has support from another woman here. And we do have like more of a traditional, gender roles. And I understand that not everyone wants to play like that, but it works. And for us here, and it's like, this is weird, but good. And we have sort of like had people stay with us before and had visitors and things, but this is like a real co-living sort of experience. It's probably only going to be for a couple of months, but there's not one way. I think that's like the thing that I would throw out there to everyone, to every father, and to anyone who's listening to this is, there isn't one way of doing this. Like, test what it's like for you to be around a few, if you're a young man, a few other men who have these similar values. And if you're looking to build up your body and build a business, like, I can't see how you're not going to get after it a lot more if there's people around you who are like, yeah, I'm going to do this test. I'm going to do these push-ups. I'm going to do this workout. Or, what are you working on your business today? Or I made a sale. Like, all those things are going to move the needle faster. Are you seeing like flow on effect? Are you seeing impact on the lives simply by having that regular interaction? Or what is it doing, would you say, so far since having that?
Oh, it's incredible. Like, I've hired multiple people out of the Sapiens Center.
Yeah.
People have started their own businesses. Like, it's absolutely taking off. They've started their own workout groups. They've started their own events. Now it's just taken on a life of its own. And I almost don't even have to do anything even anymore. And people will just start running things, and they'll like start cleaning up, and they'll organize themselves for Sunday night. They call it the fire starter, and they'll do like sauna and like cold and breath work together, and they do some goal setting for the week, and they'll like maybe play games after, some board games or something on Sunday night. It's so cool to see. There's actually, I was thinking about this. This is actually why I started this Sapiens Center. One of the biggest reasons. I did a thought experiment of, what if I had $100 million, right? Like, just what if I had an arbitrary amount of money where money didn't matter anymore, right? Whatever. What would your day be like? What would your life be like? Like, how would it go? Right? Yeah. Like, it doesn't matter. Like, maybe you'd have like a nicer house or something, or a nicer car, but like, who cares? That's like, really doesn't change your life. It's like, what would your day be like? Who would you spend time with? What would you do? And then I realized I'm almost there, or like I could be there. And it's just what you described, right? It's what the day would be like is, yeah, if you could just wake up without an alarm, you could do your workout, you could jump in a river, you could do some manual work, you could eat with your friends, you could like work on things together, maybe, do some actual like computer work if you wanted to, and then eat together again, hang out. Like, it's like, you don't need money to do that. Like, none of that has anything to do with having all that money. Like, you can skip ahead. So instead of like, okay, I can do this once I get $100 million, or you just do it now.
Yeah, you don't need a lot of money to be able to do that. That was, I told you a little bit before we jumped on, but 23, I had that realization of like, all I want to be able to do is study, train, be around cool people, test ideas, and I don't want to be stuck in this system. How can I get a few acres of land where all I need is food? Like, I don't need anything else as long as I can get good food, and then I'm going to be able to work this out. And I couldn't work out how to get the land, and I didn't have, there wasn't so much opportunity of online income and such at that time in Latin America. So I ended up teaching English and stuff, and I just never got fully settled there. But now it's so easy to make a couple of grand a month online. And, we have these networks now where it's like, yeah, we can get the land. Like, through, your network, you've just been talking about, raising like tens of millions of dollars or whatever. Like, everyone can find an opportunity to be able to get some sort of size of land. Like, if it's a couple $100,000, or you think about Mexico, or you think about other countries, like, it's something that's solvable within a few years. And if everyone knew that that was a possibility and that you could solve for that within a year or two, I think that makes life better as well. Like, just knowing that it's an option to have that. I think the thing of feeling cornered, feeling boxed in, like there's no alternative to what I'm doing now, and I don't like what I'm doing now, is a position that way too many people find themselves in. And yeah, it is so doable. And I love, now I'm 40. I'm giving this opportunity. Like, the man who just arrived here from South Africa is 23, and he's like exactly where I was at that age of either going to get a job now, or I'm going to find a way to travel the world, build something, keep life really interesting. And I love that, I'm able to open that door. Are you getting people at that stage as well? Like, are you getting just out of college type of interactions as well?
Yeah. I mean, I remember it was 20. We had a 20-year-old member who just turned 21. We have a lot of people between 21 and 25.
Yeah.
And it's great to see. Yeah. They're like changing the course of their life for sure.
Yeah. Yeah, so good. Yeah, we had an 18-year-old from Norway join the other day. The Norwegian weightlifting 89 kilo champion is in our
Mm.
network, Thorberger. Um, yeah, it's really cool. I mean, he's from Iceland. It's like these
Mm.
young guys getting after. I'm just wondering, like, what's going to happen to them? Like in our network, it's encouraged that you learn languages, that you study, develop your body physically. Obviously, eating along these lines, like, and there's all kinds of. There are a few vegans in our network as well.
Mm.
They generally convert after a little while, but we don't like push anything on them. It's just like this is we're about becoming athletic richer smarter and helping each other to do that. The mastermind to athletic richer smarter is the theme of the thing. Like, we're talking about going to Mars and being a multi-planetary species and stuff. I'm not too sure about that, but I'm sure that like masterminding to becoming athletic richer smarter is a good place to go to. So this is my version of Mars. Like, if you didn't want to get distracted into some funny thing that probably isn't that legit, then maybe yeah, focus on yourself. Like, focus on getting that stuff around you and see what life's like. And that's the game. Where do you see tech coming into this? Like, you say you're sort of thinking about app as well. We were discussing a little bit how our app works, and I'd
Mm.
love to show you like fully what we got there. Maybe Max will take you on a tour. But yeah, what are you thinking tech wise to partner with this concept at
Oh
Sapiens?
yeah. Yeah, I mean, I did try to build tech for years, and it's a hard game. And I think it's kind of needed just to stay connected. This is like the world we live in,
Yeah,
and it'd be nice to not need it, but it's also super useful. Yeah, I just want a simple tool that just lets people be able to connect. And I like the idea of being able to drop in if you're in different cities or something, and it's like you could know where they are, and you can have a welcome place, even if it isn't like an uncommon village, it's like it could just be
yeah.
someone, right? That's
So
just there.
some of that's happening already. Like, we have that kind of couch surfing Airbnb element to within the network. There's the map. So if you're traveling across America, like which Max has done, he stayed with people along the way. He stayed with men along the way, and yeah, that I love that's starting to happen. And yeah, you could definitely do that where someone who wanted to be part of Sapiens but isn't in Austin is able to put themselves on a map, and then they can, yeah, like, we encourage meeting up um to train, to have a meal together. But then, yeah, some people say, yeah, I've got a place to stay here as well. I got a bed. Some of them, some have gyms, and so they can be like, yeah, I've got a gym you can come and use. It's early days, but I think so many people are looking for that, and it's a whole different thing to social media and the kind of game of the way that social media plays human interactions. Um, there's another way to do it, which is much higher in trust, and I think that highly trusted network is probably the most important thing with all that AI and deep fakes, and just not being able to trust mainstream media and news and such. Is like, if you create a high trust network where people have met each other a lot of times, like it's I think it's one of the most valuable things that you can have. So I could see your app really being amazing for that.
Oh, that's the number one thing in the world. That's what people realize when things go a little dicey. They realize that all that matters is their true connections and true friends that they can rely on. And yeah, that's the only thing that matters. And I think, yeah, the more I think about it, the more I think that I don't even know if we just somehow make it like we can have our own networks, but it's still like shared networks in a way where, you know, I don't know if that would work, but at least people could, yeah, try to connect.
Yeah, I'm up for any kind of collaboration. Like, we have our two developers, full time, and we're working to build internationally. We're probably about 40% United States now with signups, but yeah, good split between Europe and Australia. I'm Australian background, but we're getting less and less Australians joining relative to Europe and America, which is okay. But yeah, anything we can do to support. And I think that is going to be the fun of this, is when different networks, play together. And I'm sure there'll be a lot of interest in getting to Sapien Center, from guys and having something down there, or you're talking about running a retreat, like that'd be something I'd love to open up to the network. Um, the business
Mm.
side of things, like in your ideal day, you almost sound a little bit guilty about saying that. I'll put it out there that I love building business. I love that, building the product, network, speaking to men, understanding what's going on. It definitely has its challenges with running a team around the world, and you have to be on the computer. At times I've done everything, doing the sales and doing the product development. Like I've been the one-man band, and then the bigger team, which comes with its challenges as well. What Where does the entrepreneurship side of things, like, is that a key part of a great life, that you build enterprise that maybe has endures beyond you, or has an impact on the current culture? Like, what do you, yeah,
Mm.
where does it fit?
Well, yeah, I mean, I'm trying to build different things. I think, yeah, before I used to be a little more bashful about like the business side of like, well, we don't need to make money. I was always like a purpose driven thing. It's like, I'm making this film, like I don't need to make money, or I don't want to have conflicts of interest. And then I realized that you do, like, you don't need to be afraid of making money. And it helps. You can do so many more things if you make more money. And so, yeah, I mean, one thing I'm doing is the nose to tail thing. So it's like a nationwide meat company, and we do regenerative ag, and we have other products. But I do want to focus more on, well, the film. And then I've like sort of the media side, which is the film series and my podcast and other stuff. And then, the Sapiens Center. And then I have another like kind of meal prep and catering business we do within the Sapiens Center with, it kind of comes together with all the things.
Yep.
But yeah, I'm really into the last one, which is building the network and allowing people to connect. And I think it's like the same community. I think what you're developing is the same exact people. I think everyone in Sapien wants to be more athletic and richer and smarter. And that's what we're all working towards. And we just happen to have women as well in our community, but which doesn't hurt, but it could get a little weird because the dating thing is interesting.
Yeah, it's going to be a real thing for sure if you're in that environment. There's definitely nothing against women. I've always had women in my programs, but it's generally been like 3 to 5%, like, because my background's rugby, and it's been like guys training, and I don't know, like my message, my voice, man, it's not very attractive or whatever. The women haven't come to the program, and then sometimes they feel awkward because it's like, well, I'm the only woman, and so then you get unhappy women being 3 to 5% of the program. It's just like, well, yeah, maybe that's not the path forward. But I would love, like, I've put it out there a number of times to women who have been in the program and who've loved it, of like, I want you to lead the women's side of things, and like, you have it and be your business, and I'll just send women to you. And I just haven't been able to find anyone who was able to kind of take that on. And so it's only recently that we went to all men. I do, like, I'm a man. I resonate more with, the men's journey and the father role and all those sorts of things. But I would love to have potentially, and this is an idea, if what if there was an app or a counterpart of the app or something that was like females looking for men like this. I know that a lot of the guys would love to have that element to it, and I think at a critical mass, like, let's build it up, gentlemen, and we'll definitely roll that out and run a big advertising campaign of like, Prime.
Yeah, if you want a manly man, I mean, this would be great. This is what everyone wants. And maybe the Sapien side will we can, because we do have women. Like, I think a girl was our first member. And so maybe we could just recruit some more women, but we just need to, like I was saying before, I want to find girls that get it, right, that aren't vegetarian and bought into this whole like paradigm and narrative that is kind of the opposite of us.
Yeah, men that want to look after them. Speaking of good men, Max is in the dating game. He's out there. You can find him on all the big apps. Share there, Max.
Oh, yeah, I was on the apps, and then I found a girl, so I'm off the apps now.
All right, it's done. I didn't get.
I actually found a girl at Walgreens, so you don't have to go to the apps. But I was wondering if you guys could touch on this. You're both building very similar things with the Sapiens Center and the villages. And from my perspective, Keegan's vision with it's more to step away from society, build these villages on plots of land, and like more self-sustainable in case the world goes to shit, kind of. Whereas Brian's kind of going, as Paul Council kind of talks about, be in it, not of it. So he's kind of like going to where the people are. So my question is, I guess, for both of you to discuss like the vision of both of those visions, and how like can uncom villages be inside of cities, or are they only these places that are away from society?
Well, that's interesting because before we got on air, we were talking about this. Keegan and I were talking about the bigger vision. So Sapiens Center, that's just V1. I've been talking to people for years about getting off-grid, opt-out societies. I don't want to build a commune. Like a commune, they fall apart where it's just mayhem and there's like, it needs a business model, basically, was my conclusion. And we are building this. It's just, we needed to do the in-city version first, because like you said, just go where the people are. Like if we just started building something out in the middle of nowhere, we would fail. So to build Sapiens Center, all the people are on the same vision. Just last night, Friday night, I'm sitting around the sauna with one of the members talking about this, right? He's on the exact same page. He's like, had the same thoughts, the whole thing. So that's what Keegan briefly mentioned, like tens of millions of dollars, raising tens of millions of dollars. I mean, yeah, who knows how much it's going to take, but I want to get plots of land in the US, in Texas, where there's some more freedom, and build it around the retreat center. So my idea is, yes, it has a business model. It's not a commune, but there is if you think of it like rings, I mean, not that it has to be physically shaped like a ring, but like the core of it is a retreat center, and there's all these different amenities, and you could have different bunk housing and different versions of lodging. And then there's homes around it that could be like timeshare, Airbnb style, or they could be more permanent homes of people who want to live there. And then around that is running animals and growing food. So I've been talking about this for years. It's just a slower plan. I'm grouping together people. I'm trying to group together the leaders in the space. In Austin, a lot of these leaders happen to be moving here. And there's just really interesting people here that I've met that have already started doing this. They have land, or they have money, or they have skill sets. I mentioned to Keegan, this guy, Tucker Max. He wrote a book. He's kind of like a bro author back in the day. Has anyone heard of Tucker Max? He wrote, I Hope They Serve Beer in Hell. It's pretty hilarious. I read it like 20 years ago when I was just graduating college. Maybe it was 18 years ago. And it's just about him boning girls around the world. Or, I don't know. It's just a hilarious book. Super funny writer. But then he became a serious businessman, started a book publishing company because his book was so popular. And now he has some land outside of Austin. His wife has a medical practice, and they have a school now. So they were like so tired of the woke school systems, even though they're already doing alternative schooling for their kids. They're like, we need to just build our own school. So they have dozens and dozens of families in on this alternative school, and they are 100% on the same page. So that's just one example. I have probably 8 more examples of people with influence, power, money, whatever it is, momentum, business acumen, already trying to do this. And I'm kind of organizing these thought leaders into a group here in Austin. And we're going to have some kind of our own mastermind and slowly get to the 100 to 500 acre land buy.
I love it. To me, the thing is like getting the people connected to each other. Like that's the key thing for me. So like to kind of answer Max's question, but also what I see you're working on there, Brian. Like the strength is in the network and the numbers, and the fact that you've already shown to people that you're willing to execute on projects, and you can execute on projects. Like for me, the Montenegro village that I'm in at the moment, and Vanuatu and to an extent Bali, like they're business cards, and they're proof that, okay, we're actually doing something. We're not just talking. We're not just like saying, oh, we don't really like what is on the news today. It's like there's a physical answer to something here. And that doesn't mean we're not working in the cities. You know, all the people who are in Uncommon Success are living in the cities. Like, I don't think there's anyone who lives in a commune or who lives, you know, way out of society. I do like that I can invite people here and they can have a different experience and they can do whatever they want. They can feel a different level of freedom to what you'll feel in the Western world. And, you know, it's cool. We just, you know, we get after it, and it's fun. And same in Vanuatu. But yeah, I would love to do more stuff in the cities, buying property, real estate in cities in the United States or Australia or England. Like, there's a lot of red tape, and it's also more money, you know, to get involved in those things. So to me, buying the physical stuff, it's not an essential part of it. The essential part of it is the philosophy and like the way of living, and there's many ways it can be solved materially of, you know, is it share houses in the city, or is it big blocks outside, or is it in other countries? If I was American, I think it would be slightly different as well. Like, you saw what happened during COVID in America versus what happened in Australia, what happened in Texas versus, you know, what happened in Melbourne. Australia just doesn't have that culture of pride in the country, pride in the flag and the nation. I was just in Florida recently, and a lot of people there are very proud of their country, and they will not, under any circumstances, see, you know, just give it away. They don't want it to end, you know, what's been built there over the last hundreds of years. And people have their issues with American foreign policy and different wars and different times. But what I see and what I saw in America is like proud people who love building beautiful things and have built a very powerful, beautiful country, and you know, generational success, and you know, building something like Uncommon Success. It's like, okay, how do I take men from where the path that they're on into a path of generational success? Or, you know, if they're already on a good path, how do we turn that into a great path? And it gives me new respect for what's been built there in America. And I think that it's not going to, you know, end quickly or easily. You know, what's been built there, where Australia, like, it really was disturbing to see what happened, and to see, you know, firing rubber bullets in the street for people who are saying they want to go back to work. And, you know, a lot of people being like applauding that. Like, there was much more applause for it than there was sort of pushback for the people who are saying they didn't want to go down that path. So, you know, maybe I should be there and kind of being part of that. But my decision was, you know, find a better place, start building solutions, don't focus on, you know, cursing the darkness, but build something valuable. I don't know if you have thoughts on that, like America versus the world.
Well, I think there's like 3 different versions of what needs to exist, and we're all working on those simultaneously, kind of. It's the in-city version, which is more Sapiens Center. There's the out-of-city version, which is Uncommon Villages. And then there's like the big opt-out societies that can also be all over the place, right? And then that's like more on a massive scale. Like, it's, I mean, maybe the villages do have potential to get bigger, but you know what I mean? Like, it's still, and I see them as working together. And that's why I'm seeing a lot of synergy between our groups, is that we could just do different versions of them. And yeah, maybe you guys focus on the little more out of town, or a little more like cheaper nations, like Mexico, you know, whatever else. And then, yeah, maybe Sapiens Center just happens to be more in US and in the city, but it's like a feeder, because I still think you need to have that in-city thing, so it's just easy to access. So you got to capture these people that they get it and they're awake, but they just don't know where to go. And then they hear about it. It's like, my Sapiens Center social media is incredible. Like, it doesn't have that many followers or anything, but everyone in Austin knows about Sapiens Center. It's insane. Like, I just walk around and everyone's like, oh yeah, I saw about you guys on Instagram. Like, everyone just sees these stories because other people post the stories. And that happens because we're right in the city and it's easy to drop in.
That's a powerful message as well, to hear that if you do something in your local area and it's good, it can really have a significant impact, where people know that it exists and they know it's an option. And yeah, there is no one clear solution of how this goes. All I know is that we need to improve ourselves and we need to build solutions, and it's important not to feel alone. have you had that support around you since the start, or did like getting, did the response to Game Changers, did that sort of build your network with people coming out and supporting you? And
Not really. I mean, the podcast really is what did it. Like, just social media, also just being consistent on social media.
Yeah.
I posted almost every day. Like, I just started my Food Lies account 5.5 years ago, around when I started the film, and I just started posting every day. And then all of a sudden I just have all these followers now, and it's like a strong community and everyone's on the same page. I love just posting things because everyone is just on the same page, right? They're just see like hundreds and hundreds of comments of just people who get it. Yeah, there's more and more people waking up. We talked before we got on air about how COVID, the silver lining is that it woke people up, right? And now people are like, wait a second, what's going on? And so I think there's a lot more people now that are looking for these kind of alternative communities and finding like-minded people. Like, yeah, I told you quickly that I had a freedom rally in Austin. So 2 years ago, summer 2 years ago, when most of the country's still like wearing masks and stuck inside, we had 220 people come out into this event center in Austin before I had Sapiens Center. And they were like, this is the best thing I've ever done. Like, some of these people were just married couples that didn't know people who believed the same thing as them. And we had some leaders like JP Sears, the comedian guy, Zuby, who was in from London, who happened to be in town. So I started messaging him, and I just coordinated this event. We had this Navy SEAL doctor guy, Dr. Kirk Parsley, who's like the man, all these people. And we just rallied together, and like, people were talking about it a year later. They're like, that's the best event of the year. And so, yeah, tying everything together, it's just like, all that matters is your community and finding those people that believe in the same thing. And yeah.
I'd love to hear if those tuning in, listening in, if you have any thoughts around how this fits with your experiences of community and network. And if you're listening back to the recording as well, something going on with the power. If you're listening back to the recording as well, I love to hear thoughts. I know there's more and more people thinking like this. How do I, what could I create? How could I do it? I want to have my own off-grid thing, or I want to build something. If someone's out there thinking like, yeah, this is the dream, but how do I get started? Like, what would you say?
Well, that's interesting, because that's what Max drove over to Orlando, because I was at some conference there, and we talked about this, and he was talking about moving to St. Pete and maybe doing an Uncommon Village there. And I was already trying to do a Sapiens Center in St. Pete. That's just an area of Florida. It's near Tampa that a lot of people in my world have been gathering. So yeah, it's kind of a hard thing to do, to start a whole business, but I've done things. Yeah, I wanted to just put a website online, or just something like a place for people to go that were interested in this type of thing, so that we could all talk. Like, I don't know if it's a Slack group. Like, it should be outside of, the Uncommon network, maybe, or outside of my, maybe private Sapien network. But like, if there's a public place that we could, if people heard about it, they could go and say, hey, I live in St. Pete, like, I, have experience owning a gym, or I'm getting interest from Colorado or Nashville, Tennessee, right? And it's just like, we just need to put it out in the world. And so people can just say, hey, I can help.
Yeah, I'm massive for putting things out there. Like, if you want something to happen, I believe in putting it out there. Sometimes it means that you put things out there that don't end up happening. But
yeah,
when I first started the village thing, like, people were like, you're legit crazy. Like, how does that, what is that? How's it going to work? Now we have these two places where we have a bunch of us living and visiting, and we've had events. And now 1 year later, it's 1 year since I started here. Like, it's not crazy anymore. And, next year it's going to be better here. And it's going to continue to improve. It started with just putting the idea out there. Like my friend literally asked me, like, do you want to buy a block of land on the water in Vanuatu? Like if things get wacky, we go live over there with our families. Like no one ever starved there. It's great for cattle. It's great for, lots of food production is super, super easy there. And it's very low regulation. There are very few police anywhere. It's very scattered with the islands and all that sort of stuff. So it's like if the world's at its worst, like probably hang out there for a while and be fine. But like, yeah, that's cool. That makes sense. Maybe some other people also want to do that. Like if it makes sense to us, it might make sense to others. And it's snowballed from there. And of course, Uncommon Success Online has grown as well. Now there's a bunch of us who own property on the water in a little island where it's easy to have a herd of cattle. And it's for the price of what you would pay to have a house deposit, you can have another place to be. And it's only 2 hours off the coast of Australia. So it's not as wacky from Australia. From the States, it's actually all right if you live on the West Coast. You can fly to Fiji and then from Fiji to Vanuatu. It's only like 14 hours or something to get there, which is, not short, but it's not all the way around the other side of the world either. But yeah, this is like, okay, this seems interesting. Let's pull on the thread a little bit. And then a year or two later, like you're a long way from where you started. Like everyone can do that.
Well, I just remembered that I did make a site. I put it in the chat.
Okay.
I made a site, sovereignhumans.org. And we did this last year. We actually have probably over 1,000 subscribers. So it is kind of one of those things where it's like I have too many things going on and I put it out there and I didn't do anything with it, but it's also just sort of a slow moving project. So I don't know, maybe we can revive this as a group and I could put you guys on the site. I mean, we do whatever we want. I just made the site in Wix, and we could, I just think there needs to be a more public facing thing that isn't affiliated with any of us. Well, it could be affiliated with us, but not, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I think that's a great idea. Like just, if you're in support of some of the philosophy that we talk about, like here's you've got the
the site. Wow, I should use this site. I mean, it looks pretty good.
Yeah, the site looks really sharp actually. I like
and I was thinking, what's the call to action? I mean, just get your email in. I mean, we can still use this. So if we ever come up with something, we can throw it out to all these people. But then we also made a survey where people could just say, like, what is their skill set? Like, what do you have to offer? Like, where do you live? What do you have to offer type of thing?
Yeah. I think there would be within Uncommon Success, within our networks, there'll be one or two people who are like, yeah, that's pretty cool. I'll be, for me, it's like have a Telegram group or have a chat group where people can start to share some stuff as well. So you have an email with it. And then if you commit to a monthly meeting where you do something like this, and then you're kind of away. Like there's a concept there. There's an opportunity to share ideas. I mean, we can continue to talk about, but I think I don't think it's that hard to have something that's like we're working on this and let's see what energy comes towards it. It can be loosely affiliated with what we already have in terms of land and such, and with Sapiens, like it shows there's already things there, and I would love to have events where people can come to that. But the digital thing makes it easy of like let's meet once a month online. It's not hard.
Yeah.
And, you never know what comes of it. Like that's a good example of it for people wondering how entrepreneurship works. It pretty much goes like this most of the time. It's like, I wonder what that'd be like. And then how can you start a little bit? And then yes, sometimes it snowballs and sometimes it doesn't. But I know there's so many people you're wanting to move in this direction, and they're not necessarily wanting the whole journey of athletic, richer, smarter, and something that really transforms them. But they have these sorts of values. So yeah, I love it.
Cool. Well, let's just talk after this and we can include you guys. And if people want to, I don't know, share it around. It's just basically just a email collection and survey.
Yeah. Even with so let's go on the notes to tell a bit if you don't mind. How's that been getting that started? And tell us a bit about the model. Is there a point of difference or is it similar to other companies that have done that?
Yeah. Well, so it's pretty different. Like Butcher Box, they just source from Australia, New Zealand or something, and they just get cheap grass-fed meat. Well, it's good, I guess, right? It's grass-fed, at least it's grass finished.
Yeah.
Mine is just single source, single origin, like just family that do regenerative ag in Texas. So it's kind of a boutique thing, and they just do the actual regenerative practices. They've been doing it for 30 years, and I found them, and they have their friends that do the different animals, and it's not a good business to make money. I'll tell you that. It's good to just get people good meat and some other good products we make, but I'm trying to like move away from it because it's taking all my time, and it's just not great. I was thinking of different ways to do it. It needs to be more of a distributed model. If someone could ever figure that out of doing like nodes, it's like if we could get all these regenerative ranchers in different parts of the world, well, different states. I'm sticking to the US. And then you feed your community through that node, but then somehow they're grouped together. Yes, but also nose to tail, it's like we actually use the whole animal. We eat the organs, we use the bones, we use everything.
Yeah, that's very cool. Does it ship all over the states, or is it mostly?
Yeah, it's 48 states. Yeah.
Very cool. Yeah, one of the players in Uncommon Success has just been organizing an affiliate deal. Not sure who he ended up doing it with, but for one of the meat companies, and it was just purely to pass on some discount. Like, it's not to make money for Uncommon Success, but to encourage men to use the highest quality, use good quality, and make it a bit easier to eat really well. Max, what's coming up for you there?
The restaurant idea, or I guess the nose to tail stuff. Like, I just watched the movie The Founder, which is talking about the McDonald's story, and it just kept me thinking like the world needs a new McDonald's. Like, I have been trying to ruminate on this. Am I going in and out?
Just put the thing in front of your face, maybe the mic on your wire. Yeah.
How about that?
Yeah, that's good.
Like, I have been thinking about this concept of like, how can you, like you're saying, the nodes of the network, and then, but what if like McDonald's succeeded basically because they had like 27 items on their menu, and they realized that 87% of sales were coming from Coke, fries, and burgers, so they simplified their menu to like 3 things, and then they just started franchising and franchising and franchising. So I was like, how could you do that, but also like somehow make it so you have all these new franchises popping up all over the world, but you're actually sourcing, like, each franchise sources from one of the nodes. So like the food is a little bit different, but the menus are very similar, and they're just selling like very basic stuff. But that was like my concept of maybe there's a way to really simplify, like, but still make it something that like competes with McDonald's. So it's not so off edge that no one's gonna ever go there because no one's eating this way.
That's interesting. Well, they're also so successful because they bottle the land. It's kind of a real estate play. But
yeah,
well, so that's what I'm doing. So I have my 4th company is called Well Fed. And that's kind of the concept is we do super simple meals, and it's just using our nose to tail meat, and it's just like ultra basic, but like all good ingredients. And yeah, maybe that will it's popular within my city block around Sapiens Center, but I don't know. It's really hard to make money on food, and people have a problem paying for good food, right? Because they expect food to be dirt cheap, right? That's the expectation. Is like, oh, I want a meal for like $8, and if you have like actually good meat, our meals are $14, and they're just in a little box too. It's not like hot and fresh. It's like kind of like meal prep, but I mean, people buy them, so I guess it is working. But I like that idea. It's a lot of work. It's hard to scale. Even getting a franchise, the legal fees alone are, I think, between $500,000 and $750,000 just to get the legal setup for a franchise. That's what I heard.
Yeah, look for the solution on the fringe, like Uber and Airbnb and such that kind of bend the rules a bit without.
Well, yeah, I mean, you don't have to set up actual franchise. You could just do it your own way and not actually set up a franchise. But yeah, you could just have people do it on their own, or you own them, and then other people just subcontract or are just your employees or something.
Yeah, definitely lots of solutions. Max is young and full energy. You gotta get the cash flowing, get the network growing, and everything's possible. Just getting the proof that you can execute on things, I think, like to bring investors and such if you want to play those bigger games. But yeah, it's all possible. The market for it is bigger and bigger, so it's going to seem obvious once someone does it. Even yeah, I mean the meal prep and getting the meat distribution, it is super valuable. I've had a bunch of friends do businesses like that as well, and it's just not easy businesses for sure, but worthwhile. And if you can build a model around it of making money through potentially like digital products that go with it, or events, or other components, it sort of needs to be bundled. And you've got that already with other interests and having the Sapiens Center and having other things. So hopefully it will stay, you'll be able to keep doing it, and it'll grow together with your other businesses. But yeah, it's not the easiest place to start as far as your own personal freedom and getting yourself into a strong position, which I think should be a priority at the same time as making the world a better place. But if you're struggling yourself, it's never a great place to help others from, or you can't think as big. But yeah, Ben, what would you like to share there with us?
Ask Brian, is well fed in South Carolina, or are you just in Texas, mate?
Oh, it's just in Austin. It's super small.
Got
Yeah,
it.
I mean, we're just basically starting off, and we just don't even have the manpower to scale it. It's like I just barely scrape by, just trying to get all my other stuff done.
Sure.
How have you gone with staff and hiring, Brian? Do you enjoy growing team, working with others, or is it a necessary challenge? How do you?
Well, I only hire from within. I only take inbound requests. So either hire from Sapiens Center, or I hired my main employee from throwing it out on Instagram, and take, whoever responded, just looking through all those people.
Yep.
Yeah, it's fine. I just need to make more money. Like, it's just the classic business advice. It's like, you need money to make money. You need money to afford to hire people. You need a good profit margin. Like, the number one thing is find something that actually has a profit margin. That's why I wouldn't recommend people getting into selling meat. There's no profit margin in it. This is actually, I found out very close to home, very acutely found out how the world works, and why it works the way it works is because all of the processed food companies make all the money. There's so much profit margin in processed foods. There's zero profit margin in whole foods. No one has a giant tomato company or a giant meat company. I mean, some of them, like Cargill, yes, there are Tyson Chicken, Cargill, that do processed foods and factory farming versions of meat, can make money at scale, but there's no money in just growing real foods. So when they have all the profit margin in the processed foods, they then do all the marketing campaigns, they fund all the media, they fund the studies and the lobbying. And so it just makes the world work the way it is. So yeah, you got to find businesses. If you're going to do products, it's got to have a very healthy profit margin. So now I'm kind of backing away from some product lines and choosing ones that actually have a healthy profit margin.
Yeah. I had a conversation this week with a man named Michael Cantwell, who's American, who grew up in Orange County, actually. So not too far from, I don't know if he went to UCLA, but he studied investing in real estate. He's a smart man. He's living in Bali at the moment, and he's started a company called Bali Forages, and it's about placing cattle with local farmers and then processing the beef into beef chips and jerky. And they're focused on the Indonesian market, but they've made these really good beef chips, and they're just about to get chicken chips going as well. He's got all the same sort of values as we do, and yeah, he's also processing oysters into encapsulated oysters are actually doing really well for them as well. And they're focused on the Asian market, but they've been able to find good markup on the beef through it's around an 8 times markup with they're turning them into chips. And I keep saying like someone's got to do these in the States because they're going to do really well. And he's just like, yeah, it's just too much.
Oh no, they're doing really well. So yeah, value add is huge. If you can add that value added product, it's called Carnivore Snacks with an X. They just sent me a couple free bags. It's delicious. They're making tons of money. They're like, yeah, they figured it out.
You guys had them or what? Who's had them so far?
I have. They're phenomenal. Filet mignon and yeah, it tastes great.
They have ribeyes and brisket and chicken. I have 3 of them now. It's so good, and I'm mad that I didn't do it. But this one woman, Sylvia, she just started it, and like the packaging was terrible, and they were just really small time. And they sent me some like 5 years ago, and then now they're in all the conferences. I see them like every conference I go to, and they have like they've upgraded everything, and they just are making tons of money.
I don't know how I'd never heard of them. Obviously, I'm not in the States, but I just had time in California and Florida a couple of months back, and I would have.
Well, they're not big. I mean, it's big, and
I would have ordered them though. I would have ordered them online, like
Oh yeah.
But that is cool to hear, and it would be good if there was more penetration of those products into the market. I wonder if if they will get into Whole Foods or some of those other boutique grocers. The health grocers in the States are off the charts, like how big they are and how much stuff they have. It would be great if there was more of that sort of produce in there, more of those products. But what are you thinking then in terms of your profitable businesses? Because that is a big theme within Uncommon Success. Like build an idea. Ben's just about to, he's launching an amino supplement into Australia and some other places. Like everyone's sort of thinking. Julian, who's on here, Julian Primal Goats, has goats in Colombia. He is a university student, and he decided to get some goats and produce the best quality milk from those goats that he could, and sell them locally. And he's done well with a micro business of goats in Colombia. But what's on your mind, or what do you think the winner is going to be in terms of getting more cashed up to be able to expand your staff and build the empire?
I mean, well, I do biltong already, so that's like, but it's still like I don't have a big profit margin. I don't know how this guy's getting like 8x on it. I'm getting like 2x or something. It's like I'm using another manufacturer from South Africa who does it. Body care products. So we do beef tallow body care. So that's really popular, but in a small way. We haven't like done big marketing campaigns yet, and we're about to. But having like a really good quality body care products that are made from beef tallow, actually people will pay for that, and I hope to do something with that. Yeah,
that's cool. That's exciting. So how do you sell us the beef tallow for the skin? What's the
it's called skin food, but that's the main product. It's like a moisturizer. Your body's made from basically beef fat, right? It's animal fat. You want animal fat on your body. Like I got sunburned once. I didn't have like a base tan, and I went and played volleyball for like 4 hours in the midday one time, and I got roasted, right? My skin was just so red. Usually I'd be peeling and it'd be a mess for like 3 days. I just covered myself in my beef tallow, and it just turned into a tan. It was crazy. Just it's also, you don't want all these random fake scents and parabens and like all these chemicals on your body. So like all we have is beef tallow and essential oils. And there's like a little coconut oil, you need a little bit of these like natural oil, coconut oil type of thing to make it the right consistency. So we do deodorant, we do hair product, we do lip balm, soap, and moisturizer.
How's it been setting up the manufacturing stuff around that?
Oh yeah, it took a year. It was a nightmare. It was a huge nightmare. It was very boutique. A guy was doing it by hand. And then we stepped up to a small like mom and pop manufacturer, and it took a full year to get our product.
Wow.
Yeah. It's a lot of, I'm actually trying to do even another thing that uses powdered like organs and protein and all these different things into something, and might just like actually raise money. I've been talking to like kind of the biggest players in the health scene, and they're all wanting to put in money or have been helping me. So that's been pretty cool.
Very cool. Very cool. Yeah, I think it's gonna keep snowballing this area of people realizing that they need to invest in businesses because there's plenty of funding on the other side. Imagine how much it's cost to get these new meat products to market, like the Beyond Meat, but then the latest ones that about like billions, like just ridiculous amounts of money. That if it was going into the kind of projects that we're interested in, like they could have so much impact. But yeah, we've got to do our best. Do you talk much about like do you put much of your mental energy onto like understanding who's creating this other stuff and why they're creating it? And you sort of mentioned the rabbit hole of COVID, sort of like most of us is like trying to understand what is going on, who is doing this, why are they doing it? Like, is that still something that you're putting energy into, or is there more so like there's just so much to do in terms of solutions for those who do want to find them?
Oh yeah. Well, I do too many things. I do spend a lot of time still thinking about this because I want to know how the world works. And yeah, the last half an hour of my day, usually I go and read about this or listen to content about this. There's so many rabbit holes. It's so crazy. We'd have to do a whole nother session on this sometime, is what I've learned. And I told you before that I had a friend that's been down these rabbit holes for 17 years. So way before me, I'm only 3 years in. Well, I was awake to the, half the stuff for the past, like, whatever, 9 years when I started my health journey. But there's so much more. But that'll have to be another time because, yeah, I gotta go. It's pretty soon, actually. But yeah.
Yeah. I should go too. But we set this concrete today in the restaurant and in the gym, so there's nowhere to really be inside, and it's like nearly the children's bedtime, so I really should be the responsible father, but they love staying up as late as they can, and they'll be running amok down there having fun. So but I do really, really appreciate the chance to have a conversation. I appreciate Max kind of giving us a push for this. And yeah, like 100% it's about doing, finding other people that have these values and are doing things and supporting. So whatever we can do to support like your skincare and stuff, if we can get that into our marketplace and, literally anything that you're doing that's along these lines, like, I know there's a lot of energy for it, and just the fact that you are making things happen and producing a documentary, and it takes so much work to do the things that you've done. So respect for making all that happen, and I hope that it does give more belief and power to everyone checking this out of like, I can build something, I can do something. We've all got things that we sort of think, oh, one day maybe I'll do this thing, and Brian's one of the crazy ones who's gone after it, and there's still so much more, but you've already you've done so much as well since that. So well done.
Yeah,
thanks for sharing. And I'd love to do that. Let's connect again, and we can talk more on the website that we found there, and maybe some of the rabbit hole type stuff of what you actually see going on.
Oh wow,
we haven't had that conversation much in Uncommon Success, because not everybody's like, everyone's on their own journey, and there's different levels of interest, and you don't have to think that I don't know, that the space landings were fake, or that there's a big lizard thing or whatever. There's all kinds of theories and wacky stuff out there. Can believe whatever you want to believe, as long as you're getting after it and improving yourself. Like that's the fundamental layer. And then those fun stories is interesting to explore. And I think we should be able to have that conversation respectfully. And if one person believes that, whatever, the 9/11 was fake, and another person believes that it wasn't, like, I think we should be able to have that level of maturity to have the conversation. So throwing some of that stuff out there, see what comes back.
Oh, there's so much more to it too. I mean, they're just like how the financial systems work, how the education system was set up. There's just more just like grounded in. You don't even have to get into some of those other controversial things.
Yeah, for sure. But let's do that on time. I appreciate you making the time to joining us today and sharing your journey up to this point and what you're focused on. And we'll continue the conversation. Thanks everyone jumping in. It's always fun for me having other people in listening live and adding to the conversation. So thanks for asking your questions there, Ben and Max, and everyone tuning in. And we'll speak again soon.
All right. Take care, guys.
Thank you.
Cool. I put in my link to the intro to my film as well.
Oh, yeah. Very cool. Yeah, I can.
That one, yeah, I really encourage people to check it out. It's 3.5 minutes. It took us quite a while to make. It's very intricate. We made almost every shot by hand.
Yeah, that's epic. We've got a couple guys working on documentaries and stuff in the network for their own projects. I've come to respect how crazy the amount of work that goes into the edits and getting the right shots. So yeah, massive respect. I had shared your links and stuff with the guys before, but I'll put that I should have finished with like where can guys find you and such. I think those who are on
Food
kind of
Lies
know.
too. Hopefully, I said Food Lies during the show, but good stuff.
Yeah, no, you did. Perfect. Well, yeah, let's speak again. If anything that comes up, I can let me know. I can help you out, and maybe we plan on doing this in a couple of months again if you're up to it. Or
yeah, man, a couple of months, maybe I'll have some more updates, and sounds good.
Epic. All right. Have a great day.
All right, man. See ya.
See you soon.